good morning, and we are going to review what we learned this morning in class. This session is for both CLAG-26 and 27. So we're going to design a page like this in class this morning. But some said they don't really understand, so I took it upon myself to record a new session so you watch it without any disturbance. So to start with, I'll open Visual Studio Code. Let me just close this. I'll go to Start, and then I'll go to Vim, and then I'll select Visual Studio Code. So you can see it's already open for me. And all I need to do is start all over again. So I have my media file. So let me just close this. I have my media file. Let me just go to open. Excuse me. Let me quit some things. So all I need to do is when I need to open this, I'll just go to open folder, and then it's on desktop. So I'll go to my folder, and then I'll choose projects. Now my media files are in this, so I'll just select the folder to open everything, and it's already open for me. So I'm going to clear what you did this morning and then start all over from scratch. So I'll just type my HTML column, and then I'll select column 5 to give me the boilerplate. Now I need to change my title to profile page. Then, so when we come to our website, you can see that we have this. Let me use this one rather. So we have my personal profile page, which is an H1, an image, some paragraph, and then an unordered list here. So to do that, all I need to do is come into my body, create my H1 element, type H1, and then I'll type, let me check again, my personal profile page. So after that, I have an image. Now, to use an image in an HTML tag, last week I said we have elements which have an opening and then a closing tag, and then we have elements which are self-closing tags. Now the H1 element is an example of an element with an opening and then a closing tag, and the image element is a typical example of an element with which is a self-closing tag. So all I need to do is type my less than and then I bring an img representing the image and then a less than to close it. I can actually add the forward slash, but then it's not compulsory. So an image tag consists of an src and then an alt property. So the alt stands for alternate text, and then the src stands for represent the location. That's where you put the location where your file is or your images. So maybe it's on desktop, so you just go and copy the desktop file location and then you paste it here. So, and if it's anywhere, you just need to copy the file path. So in our case, mine is in media / profile pic. Now, when I click on go live, you can see that I have my personal page and then my image here. the image is big, we will style it to become smaller. And then the alternate text is when the image is not available. So if the image is not available, then there should be an alternative text to show that this is what is available. This is what the picture represents. So I'll just type profile picture. And then after that, we need a, a paragraph. When we look at our website, we need this one, this one. So I'll just copy this. I'll just create the paragraph tag, which is P, and then I'll come here and just copy it. You can type anything about yourself. And then I'll copy it and then I'll hit on enter somewhere here to make it shorter. And then I'll just hit on enter to arrange my code better so I can format code, and then that's it. And then after that, we need our list, an ordered list. That is my interest and then my hobbies. So we are going to create two unordered lists and then two H2s. So we have an H2 element, my interests, and then an unordered list comes, which goes with a UL and then an LI. Now an ordered list. So let's first search for what an image tag is in HTML. IMG tag, HTML. So let me add HTML. So when you go to W3 schools, it explains what an image tag is. So definition and uses. The IMG tag is used to embed an image in an HTML. Images are not technically inserted into a web page. Images are linked to web pages. The IMG tag creates a holding space for the referenced image. The IMG tag has two required attributes. The SRC specifies the path to the image, and then the alt specifies an alternate text for the image if the image for some reason cannot be displayed. Note also always specify the width and height of an image. If width and height are not specified, the image might flicker while the image loads. To link an image to an HTML to another document, simply next. So that's the basic thing. So it says we should give a width and then a height. So to do that, all we need to do is add a width and then let's make it 170 and then a height of also 170 to make it a square. Now when we come to our web page, which is this, we can see that our image is now smaller and it looks better. Now our interest. So now we are going to search our what the UL and then the LI tags do. So let me go back to W3 schools and then scroll down, and then I'll come and then I'll see UL and an ordered list, HTML list. You can see. So definition and usage. The UL tag defines an unordered list or a bulleted list. Use use the UL tag together with the LI tag to create an ordered list in an HTML document. So I'll click on the LI. So you can see that we have a UL and then the LI elements are within. So the LI element defines a list item. The LI tag is used inside ordered list or an ordered list and in a menu list. In UL and menu list, the list will usually be displayed in bullet points. In OL, the list will usually be displayed with numbers or letters. So that's the basic knowledge you need to understand what this one does. So in my interest, I chose coding, and then I'll add another li tag. And then let's say, what did I choose? I chose coding and then sightseeing. So sightseeing. Then I'll add a second one which is for my hobbies. And then I'll come down my hobbies. I'll change this to, I just copied and then pasted it so not to waste time. My hobbies. Then I'll just add, I just chose, what were the hobbies I chose? I said playing games, playing games, watching movies, and then I'll copy it, the last one, and then let's see, I added running. Okay, so these are what I do when I want to be when I'm free. So now let's go back to our web page, and we can see that we have our beautiful web page, but then it's not styled. It doesn't have any colors and all that. So to add our CSS, when we want to add CSS, it's it makes your web pages beautiful. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. So let's go to Google and then type CSS style types. Now, when I click on W3 schools, it gives me a brief idea of what CSS means and what it does. Now, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. What is CSS? CSS is used to format the layout of a web page. With CSS, you can control the color, font, the size of text, and spacing between elements. How elements are positioned and laid out, what background images or background colors are to be used, different displays for different devices, and screen sizes, and much more. Tip: the word cascading means that a style applied to a parent element will also apply to all elements, children elements within the parent. So if you set the color of the body text to blue, all heading paragraphs and other text elements within the body, all other text elements within the body will also get the same color unless you specify something else. Using CSS. CSS can be added in HTML documents in three ways. So we have the inline style by using the style attribute inside the HTML element, and then the internal style by using the style element in the head section. And then we have the external by using a link element to link to an external file, a CSS file. The most common way to add CSS is to keep the styles in an external CSS file. However, in this tutorial, we will use inline and internal styles because this is easier to demonstrate and easier for you to try it yourself. But then in my class, which is this, we are going to use the inline style only. An inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to single HTML element. An inline CSS uses the style attribute of an HTML element. The following example sets the text color of the H1 element to blue and the text color of the P element to red. So when I click on this, now the H1 element, you see a blue text, and then the paragraph, you see a red text. So let's click on it to demonstrate. Now you can see that it says style and then the color should be blue. So the color is blue and then the red for the red for the paragraph element. Let me close it. So in an internal CSS, sorry, we'll use internal styling rather. In an internal CSS, you have is defined in the head section of the HTML page within a style element. The following example sets the color of all the H1 elements to blue and the text of all the P elements to red. In addition, the page will be displayed with a power blue background. So when we look at this, you can see that we have the head section which ends here, and then we have the style. Now to start with, if in this when you open the style element, to call an element inside the style for you to be able to style it, then you should call the element you want to style, and then you create an open um, a curly brace, and then you give it an attribute and then a property. So this is an attribute, and then the power blue, which is the background color actually, is the property. So let's demonstrate by starting. So to start with, you hit on enter. Now it says the style attribute is in the head section of the HTML document. So you type style and then you close it, and then we are going to start. So we are starting with the body. We are going to style the body element first. So we are going to, all we need to do is type body, and then we bring our curly brace and then we hit on enter. After that, we are going to give it a background color. We are going to give it a background color. Now we're going to give it a background color. I chose crimson. Now when I reload the page, which is this, you can see we have a beautiful red background color, but then it's the actual color is crimson. You can choose any color you want, blue, red, white. Just type the color and you'll be able to see it. So I chose crimson, and then I'll give it a display of block. Now when you go to W3 schools and then you search display block, it gives you the meaning of what it does. So let's click on it. CSS display. Now it has display none, inline block, inline block. Now when I come here, I chose block. So let's look at the definition, the description. Displays an element as block. It starts on a new line and takes up the whole width. Now when I mean the whole width, I mean from left to right, and then the height is from top to bottom. So when I say display block, I mean that each element will be on a new line. Hope you understand what I mean. So when I say block, now I give it a display of block, and then I'll give it a margin left of auto, and then a margin right also of auto. Now, this is to make our web page centered, to make everything on our web page centered. Wait, it's not working. wait, and I have to give it a general property of margin of 0 and a padding also of 0. Okay, so now it's clamped to the top now. So let's align our text. No, yeah, text align should be center. So it will align everything to the center for us. Now, all we need to do is also change the color of our text. So color should be Alice blue. Now we have a beautiful web page with some pretty colors here. Now let's style the rest of our web page. So now we are going to style our H1. So our H1 had a background. We can't, I'm recording so I can't really see it. No, not this. Okay. So it had a background and then some padding and then some margin. Now let's go to W3 schools and then see what a margin and then a padding also is. So let's type margin. It gives CSS margin property. Margins are used to create space around elements outside of any defined borders. So the space outside here, you can see the element has a, a green border around it. So everything outside here is the margin. So the CSS margin properties are used to create space and elements outside of any defined borders. With CSS, you have control over the margins. There are properties for setting the margin for each side of an element, top, right, left, and bottom. So you can give a bottom, a margin top, a margin right, a margin bottom, and then a margin left. So that's the basic thing you need to know about CSS margins. So now we are going to style our image. It's already in the middle. Our H1. So I'll type H1, open curly braces, and then I'll give it a font family of Arial. So you can see that our font has changed. And then next, I'll give it a font size of 60 pixels. Then, so when we reload, you can see that it's now bigger. And then I'm going to give it a padding of 50 pixels. Now the padding, when I come here and then I search CSS padding, now it's used to create a space around an element. So the padding is the opposite of the margin. So while the margin is used to create a space outside the element, this one is around the element. So you can see that a margin of 70 pixels opens the space, while a pattern of 70 pixels opens the space around it. Then the margin opens the space outside it, if you understand. So please, if you don't really understand, let me know next week. We'll talk more about it. Now, we are going to give it also a background color of Alice blue and then change the color of this one to black. So now when I reload my web page, you can see that I have a nice, beautiful heading here. Now I need to give my H1 a margin bottom to see the image, the actual image. So I'll just add margin hyphen bottom 20 pixels. Now when I come to my web page, you can see that there is some beautiful space here. Now the next thing to do is to style our IMG, sorry, IMG tag. Is to style our IMG tag. Now to style our IMG tag, all we need to do, when in our previous image we saw that it was rounded, so we are going to make it rounded and then we give it a border. We have already given it a width of 170 pixels and a height of 170 pixels. So all we need to do now is give it a border radius of 50%. Now when I refresh, you can see that our web page, our image now has a rounded edge. And then we are going to give it a border of 10 pixels solid antique white. Yeah. No, it was, I used Alice Blue. Okay, so sorry, Alice Blue. So that's all for our image. And then we are going to also give that one a margin bottom of 20 pixel. Now, when I reload my page, you can see there's space below. Now we are going to style our text. Now to do that, we call the P tag or the P element. To style the P element, we are going to increase the font size and then give it a font family as this one. So I'm going to give it a font family of Arial and then a font size of 25 pixels. Now you can see that we have a beautiful text here. Now we are going to also decrease, make it, give it a width of 50% to make our text shorter. And then we are going to now align it to the middle. Now to align it to the middle, we are going to give it a margin left of auto, and then we give it a margin right also of auto. Now it's going to reload and you can see that our page is now in the middle. Now, next thing to do is to style our H1, our H2 and UL elements. Now to do that, I'll just call the H2 element, which is my interest and then my hobbies. Now I'll give it a font family of Arial, and then I'll give it a font size of, let's say, 40 pixels. Now you can see that we have a font size of 40 pixels for this. But then you can see that it's clumped up because the text are the same. So let's change the text color. Let's think of a new color. Let's say color should be, let's use this bisque. So it's a bit different. So you can see that our colors are now different and it's a bit beautiful. So let's give our paragraph some padding to give more space. So we'll come to our paragraph and then we give it a padding of let's say 20 pixels. Yes. And then now let's style our UL tags. Let's give it a font family of the same thing and then a font size of 25. So you can see that we have this beautiful web page done and it's looking awesome. Now let's give our our I think it's okay. So this is the page we're going to create. So when you watch it, you'll be able to understand the difference of how these things work. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you same time next week. Bye bye.